Hey everyone, welcome back. Happy Thursday to everyone. Hope you guys had a great day. It's kind of late right now. I'm recording this at like 9 o'clock right now because I had to do a bunch of data and calculations and things like that to take a look at HODL for Cleanspark, Hut 8, Marathon, and Riot at the end of 2024. There are some assumptions on that. We'll take a look at that later on, but first we're going to take a look at obviously what happened in the markets today with being down, Bitcoin being down, miners being down as well. Then we have a story from Stronghold as well. So we got all that to go through before we get to all that. Okay, but as always, you guys know the drill here, not financial advice, for entertainment only. Please do your own research, and I'm investing in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, as always, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on here on the markets. So the S&P was down today 0.64%, Dow Jones was down 0.67%, NASDAQ was down 0.55%, Bitcoin was down today. It wasn't down too bad, but it was down nonetheless. It was down 0.47% on the day, closed at 29,214. It is still kind of battling with this 50-day moving average that we can see here on the chart. RSI is still looking really good as far as I'm concerned. I think we possibly might be getting ready to bounce a little bit, but I think we might have to come down a little bit more, possibly to our 28,600 line, which is our kind of support line. If that holds, I think we'll be in good shape. If that doesn't hold, however, we might be coming down to our 200 weekly moving average, which is our red line here, which is right now at 27,000. At that point, I would imagine that we would start a rally going back up, especially as we get closer to the halving event. Okay, this is still a longer time frame window. We're looking a couple months here out before any of this might transpire. Okay, so that's Bitcoin. Let's take a look at Ethereum here. Ethereum is also battling right now with the 50-day moving average as well. You can see that it was down today 0.59% to a close of 1,860. And if that doesn't hold, I think we might be coming down to the 200 daily moving average, which is our blue line right here. At that point, I would think that would possibly bounce as well. Depending if that doesn't hold, then we're going down to the 200 weekly moving average, which is at 1,620 right now. Okay. So not a good day for any of the markets, Bitcoin or Ethereum. Miners, for the most part, same thing. There were only a couple that were up on today. Any was up 0.42%. Argo was down 4.7%. Bit Digital was down 0.5%. BitDeer was down, well, flat pretty much looks like. It was zero. Bitfarms was down 4.47%. Cypher was down 6.88%. Cleanspark was down 6.10%. And that actually broke through the 20-day moving average now. So we'll see if the 50-day moving average is going to work as support. Cores was up nicely today, was up 12.49%. So it's continuing a little rally that it's had right now. And you can see here that it's kind of battling with, went above the 20-day moving average, and then it closed, obviously, or didn't close. It came pretty close to the 50-day or the 200 daily moving average, which is at $1.04. So it's kind of acting as resistance right now for that one. DigiHost was down 5.47%. You can see that it bounced off the 50-day moving average as well. DMG was down 3.2%. Greenedge was down 6.04%. Hive was down 5.08%. It closed below the 20-day moving average line. Hut 8 was down 7.82%. It also closed below the 20-day moving average, and it looks like the 200 weekly moving average line. Iris Energy was down 7.4% today. It closed below the 20-day moving average line. Marathon was down 5.05%. It closed right at the 20-day moving average line. Mawson was down 7.37%, closed below the 20 and the 50-day moving average line. Riot was down 4.61%, still above the 20-day moving average line. And then Soluna was down 17.27%, kind of gave back some of the gains it had yesterday. Stronghold was down 6.05%, and Wolf was down 8.24%. Both Stronghold and Wolf are still above their 20-day moving average lines, which are good supports there. Okay. Next, let's take a look at the network hash rate, see where that's actually at right now. Right now, it looks like on the 7-day average, we've come down a little bit more here. Now we're on the 7-day average. Yeah, make sure we're on this. Yep. That is down to 364 million terahashes right now. On the 1-day average, if we look at that, that has come down as well to 358 million terahashes right now as it is. Okay. So that's the markets and the network hash rate right now. The first story that we have, the really only story that we do have, is Stronghold Digital Mining purchases 2,000 new A1346 Bitcoin miners from Canaan, and the companies expand their existing Bitcoin mining agreement with an additional 2,000 A1346. So basically, Stronghold is buying 2,000 miners, and Canaan is going to be hosting another 2,000 A1346 miners with them. So this is good for Stronghold. I will cover them if they provide their production update for July. They did provide it for June. This month, along with they provided some data for what they mined in May and April, which was good to see. Now, I just want to see them do that every single month. But if they provided for July data in August, that'll make me a happy camper, and I'll actually put them out of, well, take them out of my doghouse. And then we'll start covering them again, see where things are stacking up for them as well. They are still way undervalued in my opinion, as a lot of you guys know, and a lot of you guys also believe that they are still way undervalued, which I agree. Okay. We'll leave it at that for that one. And then let's take a look at some assumptions that I have for where possibly Cleanspark and Riot, Marathon, along with Hut 8, could possibly be with their HODL position at the end of 2024. There are some assumptions to this, so let's take a look at those. The main thing is here, I got Bitcoin pretty much going up about 2,500 every month since August. August and July are going to be kind of flat, but I'm guessing that this is just an assumption that Bitcoin is going to go up about 2,500 after that each month to at the end of the year where we're going to be about 42,500. That kind of coincides with what I was estimating based on a lot of data that we've seen with Bitcoin and how far it's gone up percentage-wise over the last halving events. After the halving events, everything else that has to do with it. And my estimates for this year were around 38 to 42,000. That kind of coincides with that. Okay, after January, we still go up basically 2,500 per month on it. But as we get after the halving event, which is going to be in April sometime, probably around middle of the month sometime, at that point, I have Bitcoin going up $5,000 more per month to get us to the end of the year at 90,000, which is kind of where I'm thinking we might be. I'm thinking the all-time high for Bitcoin at that period after that might be somewhere around 180,000 plus or minus 20,000, give or take. But we'll see how close we get to that. Now, as far as the average hash rate basically continues to go up by about 5 million terahashes a month. I believe that's what I have it at here. 2.7, yeah. So we're going up basically 5 million terahashes per month here consistently throughout the year till the end of next year. We'll see if we get close to that. That's just kind of an assumption that I'm taking. I don't know where we're going to be. It looks like we have a lot of the hash rate already installed. We still have quite a bit to go, but I think it's going to be less than what we've seen actually this past first half of the year. That's kind of the assumption I'm working off of there. Next is obviously we're going to be in, with the halving event happening in April, I have the prepay at 900 Bitcoins per day. Block reward is at 6.25, and then it changes obviously halves in May to 3.125, and then the prepay is 450 Bitcoins per day. Okay, so that's kind of the assumptions that we're going off of there. A couple other things that we're going off of, just to make things clear. If we look at the numbers here for the miners. So we'll go through Cleanspark. Cleanspark right now is at 8.5 is what they reported recently in July. I don't know about the other guys, so I'm going off the data that I have for June for them. I'm guessing Mura might grow a little bit, Riot as well, but we'll see. Hut 8 is we'll have to see on that one. But then I'm just basically increasing what they would have to get to by the end of December. So Cleanspark reported that they're going to get to 16 exahash by the end of the year. So that's where I'm getting them to. Hut 8, with the merger of USBTC, I'm guessing possibly here. So here's the scenarios for Hut 8. Currently they're at 2.6 exahash roughly. I'm hoping that the Drumheller facility gets up and running with all of their miners, right? They've had electrical issues there. With that being up and running completely, that would get them to about 3.3 exahash. I'm guessing that maybe around September time frame, we'll have the USBTC merger happen with them, get finalized. That will get them to 7.5 exahash at that point, okay? And then we don't have any other news for them as far as growing beyond that, at least not right now. So I'm going with what we actually have. So that goes all the way down to the end of the year of next year. Marathon obviously is supposed to get to about 24. They said I'm guessing by the halving event they're going to get there. They said they want to get there by the end of this year, but we've seen some little issues where they've had getting things energized. So in case it takes a little bit longer, I have them getting there by the end of March. So right before the halving event. Same thing with Riot. Riot purchased a bunch of miners here recently. They are supposed to get to about 20.1 exahash They have the option to buy more miners at the same rates and everything else, but they haven't provided any details that they will do that. So we got them going to 20.1 exahash before the halving event, and then they're basically stuck at that. Okay. So that's kind of what we're working off of here. Then when we look at the numbers here, so I'm just taking basically what the hash rate is, multiplying by the number of days for each one. So 31 days would be in July. This is the possible revenue for Cleanspark. Then we're taking that and dividing it by the average price of Bitcoin at that rate, which was going to be around 30,200 something. How many BTC mined they could get for that. I'm also taking into account their average BTC cost per BTC cost from their Q1 results. So at that point, it was 11,802 for them. And I'm just basically multiplying that by the BTC mined here to get a cost of what it would actually cost them to mine that. And then I'm also taking their G&A, general and administrative costs from Q1 and dividing it by 3 months, basically to get a monthly number for that. So for them, it was 14,079,000 looks like. Divided that by 3, you get 4.69 million per month, basically what it costs them. And then I'm taking those numbers, subtracting it from the actual number mined, and we're getting the possible HODL amount that they could possibly put away. And then dividing that also by the number of value of Bitcoin at that time, which would get us how much they could possibly put away if they pay for, obviously, operations. General administrative, I'm not including in there anything that's non-cash, so depreciation, things like that, that's not being included for them. And it's the same across the board for them, across Hut 8, Marathon, and Riot as well. Okay, so that's kind of how the calculations work down. And then we're going down the board here until we get to the halving event. At the halving event, I'm multiplying the cost at that point times 2 because it's going to cost them twice as much to mine while they're going to be mining it less than half at that point. So you can see that they were going to be at 1,022 possible Bitcoins mined at the April. At the end of May, when we have the switchover, it would be only half of that, roughly. Okay, depending on how many days are in a month, so forth, so on. Okay, next, Hut 8, the numbers that I'm using for them right now is, let me see here, BTC cost, reported cost, or calculated cost for Q1 came out to be 10,973. General administrative cost was at 18,434. Divided by 3, you get 6.14 per month. And then here's a caveat to them. Let me see here. So, let me see here. Right now, the average for the last couple of months has been that they've been mining at about 50% of the month. In August, if they can get Drumheller fixed and all the miners up and running and they get to 3.3 exahash, I have them running at a full month there. So there's the caveat to that one. So I'm giving the benefit of the doubt there. And then when we get into September, when they merge with USBTC, I have that being added in for it. But I don't know USBTC how well they perform month to month. So I'm giving them 85% of what they actually mine, what they could possibly mine during the month is what I'm giving them. Because we do know that USBTC does have some facilities in Texas and other places that are pretty warm, so I'm guessing that they will be doing curtailment at those facilities. I don't know exactly how much, so I'm giving them 85%. For Marathon and Riot, I'm giving them actually 75% because they do curtail quite a bit during the summer times, where we've seen, obviously, Riot gets rewarded back in electricity credits. Marathon, not so much. But they do curtail quite a bit, so they get dinged about, well, that they generate about 75% of what they should be generating. So there's where the numbers are coming in at. So if we look at here, you can see down here, it's 0.75%, right? So we're multiplying all of that revenue and multiplying it times 0.75 because that's kind of on the average, if you average it out roughly over the last 12 months, that's kind of where they come in at. They do have months where they run for like 31 days, it seems like, or 30 days when they plug in a bunch of miners to boost their numbers, and then the following month they do quite a bit of curtailing. So that's kind of the way it works out. Same thing for Riot, based on all that information, okay? So those are some of the caveats that we do have here. And then if we look at the cost per BTC for Marathon, from Q1, I got $15,205 per BTC mined, so that's their cost. And the general administrative cost was $15,334,000. For Riot, the cost was $10,378, and the general cost administrative was $12,675,000 for 3 months divided by 3, and then you get the numbers down here, and then the possible HODLs that they could have. Okay, so running through all of these numbers here, we can see that we'll go with Cleanspark, HOT8, Marathon, and Riot. Current HODL is what they currently had at the end of June. So Cleanspark had 529 Bitcoins, HOT had 9,233, Marathon had 12,538, and Riot had 7,250. With all of these months, and here's the caveats to this. There's going to be a lot of caveats, so some of you guys may not like it, some of you guys might like it. There's a lot of caveats to this. The main caveat is that this would be the ideal solution for them if they could basically HODL, basically pay for what they need to, operations, general administrative costs and things like that, and HODL everything else. This would be the same thing across the board for all these miners. Now, given there might be opportunities where some of these miners might sell some of more of their Bitcoins because they want to grow their hash rate or something like that, I can't foresee that. There's no way I can foresee that. So we're just going based on the thought process that while we're in a bull run, these companies are going to try to HODL as much as they possibly can. Because as the value of Bitcoin goes up, eventually, I believe Cleanspark is probably going to start selling when Bitcoin gets over 100,000, I'm guessing, to have money aside for when we get back into the bear market. We've seen this happen in this current bear market, where Cleanspark has been on a buying spree while others have been just trying to stay alive. We've also seen HOT8 basically try to HODL as much as they can, even in the bear market, and dilute shares. I mean, Cleanspark has diluted shares too, yes, but they have grown at least, which I'm okay with that. Marathon has diluted as well through 2022 to HODL everything that they could. They started selling here at the beginning of this year, trying to dilute less, I guess you could say. And we've seen that with HOT8 also. They've started selling a little bit of their BTC as well to dilute less. Riot has been kind of selling throughout the same period, trying to just kind of sell what they needed just to kind of pay for things and not dilute as well. So I guess you could say that. Okay. So those are the caveats there. Looking at these numbers here, if things were to work out this way, this is where things get a little bit interesting. So for Cleanspark, total HODL possibly could be at the end of 2024, 7,875 Bitcoins. Those would be worth at the end $708 million. If they were to sell those, let me see, possible. No. The value of those that were basically saved to HODL was 370 million. So if you add up each month how much they put into it, at the end it would be valued at 370 million. But because Bitcoin price went up to 90,000, it's now valued at 708 million. Okay, I hope you guys understand that. So they increased their HODL by about 7,346. HOT8 ended up with 9,589, and here's the reasons why. The main reason why that I can see here is their cost for general administrative. So general administrative cost for HOT8 currently, as reported on their S4, I think it was, the revision number 3, HOT8 reported 24,346,000 for general administrative. This is in Canadian dollars, so I converted that over to USD dollars and came up with, it was $18,434,000 divided by 3, and we got the 6.14 million. Now, when they do merge with USBTC, this is the part that gets kind of tricky, and I'm kind of guessing on this one how it might work out. But when they merge with USBTC here, we can see that USBTC, general administrator for the 3 quarters was, this was for the 9 months ended. Let me see here. Maybe I have that wrong. 9 months ended. Okay. I was thinking this was for the 3 months. Year ended December 4th, 2020 through, where can I get the quarterly results? Okay. So then we have to do some adjustments here. So I just realized this. This is where it gets kind of tricky. And then let's take a look at also HOT8. HOT8 was for the 3 months ended. So that's, okay. See, this is where it gets really interesting and complicated when they do this kind of crap. Okay, 9 months ended, so 2023, so this is basically by 9 months. So 2074, we have to divide that by 9 in order to get the actual general administrative cost for them. So let's do that right now. So let's see here. We have, do this, divide that by 3. So we'll divide that by 3. And then we'll take plus the 2074, divide that by 9. And we end up with this number times 1,000 basically value. 75% of that, well, now we have the actual numbers. I was guessing maybe they're going to reduce the cost by 25% when they do merge, but we'll leave it at that. And then we don't have to divide here. Let's see what numbers we get now. And we got an error. Oh, why did we get an error here? Let me see here. That's plus divided by 9. That should all work. I think I have maybe too many. There we go. Okay, so 8.45 million instead of the 9.78 million that I had. Still pretty close, but off by about 1,300,000. Okay, so let's run that down, and then we'll get the new numbers here for them. Okay, so this looks a little bit better now. But still, in July and in August, they would be actually selling, it looks like, their HODL position in order to pay for operations and stay afloat. Same thing for August. In September, when they finally merge, they're actually able to start putting HODL away a little bit, or stacking their HODL again. 32, and they got 70, 81, 110, 125, 117, 150, 149, and then when we get the halving event again, they get into trouble again a little bit. Now, I'm guessing the Bitcoin price is going to go up after the halving event. If we stay flat for a while, you can see how this is going to impact possibly what they can do. So something to keep in mind. So May would be negative 29, June would be negative 15, and then they finally start getting a positive HODL where they could put the money away from it. Okay, so based on these new numbers, good thing that we checked, and we got basically a HODL of 10,006, so they added 773 to it. Okay, big thing is if they reduce their expenses as much as they can, those will improve the numbers. If they can grow also, that's going to improve their numbers as well. They also have obviously other operations that they can draw cash from. This is just on their self-mining alone. So with them having data centers and other things, they can possibly pull the cash out of those units and basically help pay for general administrative costs and things like that, where they might not have to sell as many shares to cover things. Okay, so that might also help them out. But nonetheless, these numbers are pretty close to where I think they might be, unfortunately. Okay, so that's that one. Marathon ended with 19,772 Bitcoins at the end of the 2024, and they increased their number by 7,234. Their general administrative cost was, let me see here, 15,334,000 per quarter divided by 3. That's the number we're getting there. And like I said, they're running basically at 75% uptime on average. And then Riot came in at, with everything, at 14,238 Bitcoins at the end of 2024. They added another 6,988 at that point. The reason that Cleanspark possibly could get pretty close or actually beat Riot in the number in HODL that they increase for the year, they're obviously going to beat them in the total HODL, but as far as how much they can add in the next year and a half is based on the uptime, right? Cleanspark runs pretty much like 99.5% uptime every single month that we cover them for the most part. There are some situations where they might have a little problem, but for the most part, they are up 99.5%. The other guys, like I said, we don't know on Hut 8 what USBTC's numbers are going to look like until we actually get some data from them when they're merged. We'll have a little bit better understanding of it right now, but I'm guessing they're going to be curtailing some, so I'm giving them 85% uptime on that one. And then, like I said, Marathon and Riot are both at 75% on average. Okay, so as you can see by these numbers, it definitely is going to be, the thing that I took away from all of this is growth in hash rate is going to be a huge contributing factor to how much you can actually get for your HODL position possibly at the end of all of this, if they HODL this much each month just to pay off the expenses. The other thing is cost of Bitcoins being mined and general administrative costs as well. The lower you can keep those, the better you are going to be at it. Obviously, these numbers might change here for all of these. These are just best guess estimates. So take it with a grain of salt. Do your own research as always. And let me know what you guys think. If you guys agree with this, you guys disagree with the numbers, do you think I should have used something else for this? I'm open to suggestions as always. I'm not Mr. Know-It-All. Learn from you guys quite a bit, and I hope you guys learn from me as well. But it's a give and take with you guys, so I love that. Other than that, yeah, we'll see how things progress. But a lot of you guys were asking about this, were stating that HODL is everything going into it. I agree HODL is important, but also depends on how well you're growing into the halving event and how much you can increase your hash rate before then, how much you dilute to get to that hash rate instead of just HODLing all alone. So a lot of variables are at play here. There's a lot of things we can take a look at. I try to break things down to just specific things that we can take a look at instead of piling it all in. And then we always take a look at multiple metrics when we look at the monthly results and then the quarter results as well. We take multiple metrics at that, but this is kind of interesting at that. But I'm rambling here. It's late. Let me know what you guys think of all of this. And as always, the spreadsheet is going to be available to my Patreon members. I'll try to do a screenshot of this for the YouTube members as well, just to see what you guys think of all of this. And like I said, I appreciate your guys' comments down below. And I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. And I'll see you guys possibly tomorrow, see what happens there. Tomorrow's going to be Friday, and we're getting close to the end of the month, which is going to happen. Last day of the month is what, Monday? Monday. And then we're going to start getting production updates again for all the miners next week. So that's going to be exciting to see how they did. All right. So thanks again. Have a, I can't talk. Thanks again. Have a wonderful evening. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.